Now, you also say of her personality, you say she's a prima donna, an ambitious, authoritarian and stern leader, yet you add, behind all of this, remains an ordinary and insecure person.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, she has never claimed to be an intellectual. She reads a great deal, she meets people, but she is, her word is law.
This fearsome barrier that she erects around her, is it in a way a protection against her inner insecurity?
No. You know, this is the Indian tradition that the Raja remains unapproachable.
She's fitted into that tradition perfectly.
Yes, she has.
I get the feeling from your comments and description of Sonia Gandhi's leadership and her functioning style that people are more afraid of her than they respect her.
No, I won't say that, but sometimes they feel very intimidated.
They feel intimidated by her. Her presence and her manner is intimidating.
You see, she is very controlled when she's outside or in a public function. She's very controlled, and she doesn't. It's not part of her character to be familiar with people unless they are very, very close.
So she holds people at arm's length.
Yeah, and they themselves don't go there.
She insists on a certain correctness in the relationship.
No, it's unsaid.
Unsaid.
Yeah.
Her authority is always dominant.
Yeah, it is.
How does Sonia Gandhi compare as a politician with her husband Rajiv Gandhi?
Oh, I think she has a much. She's a tougher person than her husband, and Rajiv was, very large-hearted. She joked to his colleagues and met with them.
Sonia? What is Sonia like?
No, so you can't take liberties with her unless you're a very, very close friend. Now, there was a mini revolt when Sharad Pawar, Sangmai and Tariq Anwar challenged her that you are not an Indian. I mean, they were fixed in 2 weeks' time.
Is Sonia politically more astute than Rajiv was?
Yeah, I think so.
Is Sonia more intelligent than Rajiv?
No, I couldn't say that. I mean, I wouldn't make any kind of remark like this.
Feel is a better politician than Rajiv?
I think so.
Better at controlling people?
Yes.
Better at dominating a situation?
Yes. No, nobody also challenged Rajiv, but he had people who could get up and argue with him.
Sonia has no one who can argue with her.
Yeah, I think so, except very few people, very few.
Mr. Natwar Singh, let's now come to Volcker. You write, Sonia's behavior during my implication in the Volcker report was vicious and venomous. You add, no Indian could have behaved this way against me. But given that you were accused of nepotism, and also you were accused of misusing Congress Party's name for personal benefit, how could she possibly have behaved differently?
No, there was no nepotism involved in it. You see, I was away in Moscow, having bilateral talks with my opposite number, and also with Mr. Putin. And when I came back to Frankfurt on this, I think 27th, 28th, the Volcker report had come out 27th. So on the 20th early morning, I was woken up by our ambassador at the UN, Nirupam Sen, because the report has come out, and it mentions the Congress, you and Mr. Bhim Singh and corporate houses as non-beneficiaries of the context. So I was very, very surprised. And first I thought I'll go to New York and talk to Volcker. Then I said, no, I'll go back to Delhi and explain what precisely happened. But then during the course of the day, we got an email or a fax saying that the Congress spokesperson Ambika Sahni had said that the Congress was clean and Natwar Singh will look after himself. Was word to that effect.
That Congress was clean, but Natwar Singh will defend himself.
Will take care of himself. So I was very outraged.
You were outraged because in a sense they were distancing themselves from you.
No, I thought they should wait till I come back. I mean, I'll be back in another 10, 12 hours.
Let me ask you this. Did Sonia Gandhi make any effort to ask you to come over and give her your side of the story, to give her your explanation? Was any attempt made at all?
No, and that's what surprised me and that's what hurt me very much.
I mean, you'd known her for pretty close to 40 years by then.
Yep.
She once even confided in you that there was no man in her life other than Rajiv Gandhi. That's a very personal confession to make.
That's right.
Clearly you were very close to her, and yet You're saying to me she made no effort to ask you to come across and explain your stand on the Volcker accusations.
Not only this about Rajiv being only man, she told me in front of Priyanka that Natwar, you are my closest friend. Sometimes what I talked to you, I didn't tell Priyanka and Rahul either. And she was sitting there, Priyanka.
This she said when she met you on May the 7th.
That's right.
And wanted you to keep portions of the book out of the public.
Yeah, she said, you're my closest friend. And I didn't tell my son and daughter what I talked to you.
She said you're her closest friend and there are things she's told you that she's never told her son and daughter.
That's right.
Now, if she felt like that, close enough to tell you things, particularly, I'm repeating it again, that there was never a man in her life other than Rajiv Gandhi.
That's right. Yeah.
You must have been pretty stunned that she didn't give you a chance to explain and defend yourself before she distanced herself from you.
No, I was very hurt. I was very hurt indeed. Very hurt indeed. And then from there again, back to us.
So for 6 or 7 years, Sonia Gandhi dropped a close friend, a close advisor, a man who was in her government, without giving him a chance to explain the background to the Volcker accusations.
That's right.
She deemed you guilty without giving you a chance to defend yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, she said so openly.
Let me quote to you what she said at the time. He was a colleague in whom I had placed trust and I felt terribly betrayed. Let me put this to you. Given that one of the things Justice Pathak in his report says is that you used influence and you facilitated the procurement of contracts, and that's in the Pathak committee report, is she not right to feel betrayed?
Not at all, because what Pathak was saying was completely wrong. Pathak he told me himself there are a lot of pressure from the powers that we to see that you're guilty, but I can't do it because he said so that there are no evidence or no material available to say that Dr. Natwar Singh ji had anything to do, personal or financial benefit from the contracts.
This is something very important. Justice Pathak told you that he was under pressure. In fact, the words you use in your book are extreme pressure to find you guilty.
That's right. And he said no.
Who was putting this pressure on him?
The powers that be, who can be in charge of the enforcement directorates, of the agencies, are ministers in the government. And the Prime Minister knows what's going on.
At the end of the day, what you're saying is the Prime Minister and Sonia Gandhi, maybe working through other people, were putting pressure on Justice Pathak to find you guilty.
Yeah.
And therefore, when Justice Pathak says in his report, and I'm going to quote, Shri Natwar Singh was a beneficiary insofar that the role played by him in influencing and facilitating the procurement of the contracts had fructified. That sentence is A, wrong, and B, under pressure.
It's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. He said that I influenced. I knew the Iraqi leaders. They knew who I was. And I didn't talk about contracts with any of them. Question doesn't arise. There's no evidence that I talked. This is Mr. Pathak's addition. And he said that we don't know how Congress's name came into the report, but that's what you were asked to do. You exonerated me. You also exonerated Congress without giving any evidence, saying that we didn't know how their name came.
So this sentence in the Pathak report, that you were a beneficiary because the role you played in influencing and facilitating the procurement of contracts fructified, that sentence you're saying to me is wrong.
Is rubbish.
Rubbish.
Yep.
Do you think that sentence was put in under what you call pressure?
That I don't know, but it was there.
Because one of the things Justice Pathak does also say, and this time it's entirely to your benefit, he says there is no material to show that Shri Natwar Singh derived any financial or other personal benefit from the contracts. So even though he says you used your influence to get contracts, you got no benefit from those contracts.
But I didn't talk about contracts to anybody. This is all cooked up.
Now, there's something else you say in your book about the Pathak Committee inquiry, which I think is particularly important. The first thing you say is that Justice Pathak confided in you that he was under pressure, extreme pressure, to find you guilty. The second thing you say is this: the documents obtained by Virendra Dayal were never shown to the Pathak Committee. And you add, there are uncomfortable truths in them that they, meaning the UPA, are trying to hide. What are these uncomfortable truths the UPA wanted to hide?
First of all, when I was meeting the Pathak Authority with Mr. Pathak as chairman, I asked him what's happened to the documents. So he said, that's a long story. Obviously he hadn't got them. Now, why were they not made public? There was something. My name had come, okay, but why were they not shown? Were not shown till today. So obviously there was something about the Congress party, and there is evidence. There are documents. A letter from our ambassador in Baghdad on the 28th of January 2004 saying that there's a news item which says that the Congress party and Mr. Bhim Singh have been doing this oil business, food for oil, since 1997.
And that letter was never given to Justice Pathak because it was part of the Virendra Dayal documents. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not. It was separate from the documents.
Okay, that letter was available to Justice Pathak, but the documents that were denied to him would have corroborated and taken further the allegation in this letter.
Could be. I can't say further, but I can't understand why not.
So
everything is made public. These documents are not made public. Then why was Virendra Dayal sent there? For what purpose? They should have said, yeah, this is what the papers say.
And your insinuation is that the documents were withheld from Justice Pathak because Congress wanted to protect itself. It didn't want details or corroboration of how it had benefited from oil contracts to be made public or to be made available to Justice Pathak.
But I wouldn't go on the details, not use language, but this is a logical conclusion.
And the reason you believe this is because there is in the files, it's also in your book, a letter dated the 28th of January 2004 from the then Indian ambassador in Baghdad, a man called Tyagi, to the foreign secretary, saying that news reports in Iraq suggest that Bhim Singh and the Congress party have got million barrels of oil contracts since 97. The documents may have corroborated that.
No, my letter, the letter of the ambassador of 28th January is in my book.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the documents that were withheld, the Virendra Dayal documents that were withheld, could have corroborated this. That's why they were withheld. That's your belief or insinuation.
No, that's not. That's my conclusion. It's a logical conclusion. Why are they made public? As simple as that.
I have to put this to you. Many people reading your book, many people hearing this interview, many people noticing the revelations you made about Sonia Gandhi, the comments you made about her, will say, he's only doing this out of bitterness and anger because she dropped him and he's now getting his revenge.
Why did she come to see me? I am not my character doesn't include bitterness or vengeance. I mean, if you read the book as a whole, my preface, my epilogue, my whole life, I just don't think. I think life's too short to have it burdened by bitterness or vengeance.
Is there any element of revenge in your book? By revealing things she didn't want, even after she came to meet you in May and personally implore you not to reveal them, you've still gone ahead. So is there any element of revenge in those revelations?
No, really, I'm just telling the truth. I started writing my autobiography at the end of 2011, and now I'm 83 years old, and I think I should put down what really happened. And I went through a very, very difficult time, and to this day I have not said anything against Sonia Gandhi in public.
But you have now in your book and in this interview said many things.
Yes, I have. But I never said anything against her in all these years till my book came out.
Why then bring it out in your book? Why then say it in interviews?
Well, this is the legacy I shall leave to my son and my grandsons.
In other words, you're clearing your name for your family.
No, my family is not involved, neither am I involved. They should at least know the facts, because the insinuation continue. I mean, the last thing was in a television channel about 2 years ago. That I had, as one of the crooks.
You say in your book that you haven't been cheap. You say in your book you haven't made anything up, but you believe it's important to tell the facts as you know them.
Yeah, sure.
Why? Why must every fact be known? Why should something as personal as the pressure a son puts on his mother because he's scared she could lose her life? After all, that son had lost his father, that son had lost his grandmother. Why should something as personal as that have to be made public?
She's a public figure. She's a public figure. She's the most important politician in India. She is well known all over the world. And I think these facts will somehow, anybody who writes her biography will have to come out. Every biographer's dream. But she had to let them come near. But she's a historic figure. There's no two ways about it. Little about What Lincoln, what Jawaharlal Nehru, what Churchill, what Roosevelt, she is in that league.
So historic public figures do not have privacy?
No, they don't.
And even something as personal as a son not wanting his mother to become Prime Minister because he's scared she'll be killed has to be told to the world?
Yes, you read any book on Kennedy, and everything is given in those books about Kennedy because he was a historic figure. And I am a student of history. And we as a country don't have a sense of history. It's our responsibility to make clear how this country is run.
So you had a moral duty to reveal the full truth.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to take a saying that I'm a great guy, even moral, but I'm an honest person.
One other thing. Sonia Gandhi herself, maybe her children, maybe her close friends. Quite possibly Suman Dubey and Manmohan Singh, who you claim were present at that 18th May meeting when you found out that Rahul didn't want his mother to become Prime Minister. Suppose they turned around and said these revelations are fabrications, that they are untrue.
Yeah, they could have said it and got away with it if Sonia and Priyanka had not come to me. Period.
By coming to you to ask you to withhold this story, Sonia has in fact proven the story is true.
That's your conclusion. Yep.
You're not worried that Suman Dubey, Manmohan Singh and others will turn around and say he's made it up? I'm repeating it again because that's quite possible they'll say it.
Of course they will.
You're aware they will?
Yeah, of course I am aware they will. There will be big noise from tomorrow. And the answer is that why did Srimati Sonia Gandhi and her daughter come to me? They didn't come to have a cup of coffee with me. They didn't have to come to lunch with me. They didn't have to come to play cards with me.
Was this the first meeting with Sonia Gandhi after the Volca accusations and your resignation?
No, there was a, I am a trustee of the Jawaharlal Nehru Fund, so meetings take place, I go there. And once, I think 4 or 5 years, I went, she asked me, I went to see her, but we talked nothing about Volca or anything at all. Yes.
So this was the first time that you had what I would call a personal meeting where you went beyond just official conversation.
Yeah.
And Sonia, and I'm repeating this, actually apologized at that meeting of May the 7th to you.
No, she said she's sorry.
And she even embraced you.
When she came.
And she even in that meeting said, you were my closest friend, you are my closest friend.
Yes, that you were my close friend, and I even didn't tell my Priyanka or Rahul what sometimes I talked with you.
I'm underlining this because it's critically important and the papers may want to pick it up. You're saying to me that on the 7th of May, that is just 2.5 months ago, Sonia Gandhi, when she came to meet you, said you were my closest friend. She said to you that I have told you things that I haven't told my 2 children, Rahul and Priyanka. She embraced you and she said, I'm sorry for what has happened to you over the last 9-10 years.
And I didn't know. Then I said, but that's not possible.
Have you forgiven Sonia Gandhi?
Yes, of course I have.
Does the pain of what she did to you still hurt?
I don't take my worries to bed with me. I sleep 8 hours a night. I am not that. I mean, I'm a tough character. I have strong nerves, and the blood of my ancestors flows in my veins. So when my honesty, integrity are concerned, no compromise.
But Sonia Gandhi dropped you like a ton of bricks.
Yes, she did.
And in the eyes of the country, you were humiliated.
Yes.
You were sacked.
Yeah.
You were then expelled from the party.
Yep. No, I resigned. I was expelled from the working committee. From the Congress, I resigned.
You've forgiven Sonia for all of that?
So what's the use of taking bitterness with you to your funeral pyre?
But it's left a big black mark on your career.
It did. Well, there's no armor against fate.
You've accepted fate.
What else do you say? Why should this have happened? And the way it's happened is atrocious.
Now at 83, when you look back on those 10 years, how do you view them?
I feel very sad.
But there's no bitterness.
No, why?